All right, it is time to start taking down the Magna. Now, before we get started, I want to talk about how this is going to be kind of a completely different build than the Shadow. It's going to be different. It's going to be a little bit longer, a little bit less professional, a little bit more casual, and kind of go over some things with you guys. I'm going to be giving you guys a lot of options on certain things, and we'll go into that in a second as I'm building stuff. I'm really hoping that the audio isn't totally blown out because it is hot in here and I do need a fan, otherwise I will probably die. This build isn't for anybody else other than me and you, so there's no gonna be any professionalism. Might squeeze an advertisement here and there, who really cares? Not me. But I think it's important that we do one of two things, which is to start making a list of things that we need to do and things we need to get, which I have my handy dandy whiteboard for, and we'll take a look at the bike and figure out what's kind of like all fuckered up on it. So, we're gonna do that now. All right, now starting from the front to the back, front forks are definitely blown. They're crazy greasy, probably from that, you know, like hella hardcore strap down ride to Texas and back that this bike did. The forks really are just kind of dirty as far as painting. I'm not gonna paint the fork tubes. You don't really do that. But these down here, where your actual where all your juices and your fork juice. This I think I painted a long time ago with Plasti Dip because I'm a fucking idiot. I did it in my garage and I just never took it off because it looked okay at the time, but it certainly doesn't look okay now. Front wheels look a-okay, no issues with the front wheels whatsoever. Those look fine. White wall tires are actually still in good condition, so what I'll do is I'll just clean them up with some of the white wall bleach and it'll look brand new. I might try to make like a custom radiator screen to this thing. It's just a like mesh grilling kind of, let me, hold on. Yeah, this is kind of like just mesh grilling, more or less. It's plastic. I think I can make something kind of cool for this thing that doesn't look like ass. The front headlight looks like it suffered the same fate as the forks. I guess I painted this with Plasti Dip in the garage as well. I feel like I remember doing it, but you never know with me. Like fake chrome wrap on the speedometer and the tachometer are like not peeling, but they're like bubbling because it's almost like a sticker that goes around these. So need to replace those. The frame, other than being dirty, is fine. It's not rusty. I've checked it over pretty good. There's no dinks, there's no dents, there's no breaks in the welds, which is important. Obviously tank, that is going, and I have some surprises over there in those boxes for you guys. Handlebars, gone. I've got a new set of handlebars I'm going to show you today too. I'll save these for another project, but certainly not this one. Now looking at the actual hand controls, it's hard for you guys to see, but they're just dirty, you know, like aluminum. It doesn't corrode really, but it kind of fades and gets, I don't know what to call it. There's probably a scientific word that I'm too dumb to know, but it gets really like nasty looking, just faded over time. So I think I'm gonna keep these silver, unlike, or like polished aluminum, unlike the Shadow where I made them black. But I'll probably hit them with a polishing wheel and clean them up, you know, get them not disgusting, and have them nice and shiny, like chrome shiny, which I should. Yeah, I've got a couple polishing wheels in here, and I should have some polishing compound somewhere. And I got some polishing compound that we can use. Engine, for the most part, just needs to be cleaned, and the carburetors need to be tuned. I'm gonna keep the same exhaust. I really like the exhaust. I will clean that up with the polishing wheel as well. The front, like the top fork assembly, whatever this is, the triple tree on this bike, whatever you want to call it, I'll hit with the polishing wheel, make it shiny as chrome, like shiny just like chrome again. I don't know if we'll need to get rid of these risers with the new handlebars. We're about to test that out. New seat, got a new seat on the way. Well, actually it's here, it's not on the way. This battery box is an absolute mess. It's always been bad. I think I can do something better with this. Gee, what else? I've always liked this taillight. It's like an old dirt bike piston. These are kind of hard to come across now, these taillights. But you see here that they put this little mesh ring inside of it that, like, I guess compresses everything. This mesh stuff rusts, and it's got all this rust in here. And I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to disassemble it to get it nice and clean. So I might be looking at getting a new light. I don't know. You know, I guess it's not super bad. I mean, it just needs some paint. So disassemble the headlight and the headlight mounting brackets and then paint that. Maybe I'll get a working horn. This horn never worked. I also need to go through the wiring. As far as the seat's concerned, seat's fine where it's mounted. I'll maybe look at putting a rear fender on it. What I actually want to do, I want to check it out anyway. This bike's never had a front fender on it since day one. Let's just see. Oh, dude, that fits perfectly. I could deadass make that work. What do you guys think? Front fender or no front fender? Y'all fight amongst the comments, but I can make that work. How about this? I build it, and if you guys don't like it, then we don't do it. Yeah, I guess it's really not that bad, but these episodes are gonna probably run a little long. They're gonna be super casual. They're not gonna be my normal build series because I don't want them to be. I want them to be super personable. I'm gonna put the new handlebars on just to see if it'll clear the tank. I have a very sneaking suspicion with those risers it won't, so we'll probably have to get new risers, but let's look at what we got parts-wise. All right, so new seat is delicious brown leather. Fuck yes. I've wanted the tan leather seat on this bike so bad, so long. They're just so expensive. Actually, these are pretty reasonable. Same company, La Rosa Designs. I'll put a link in the description if you guys want. Matter of fact, I'll put a link to everything. But it's like baseball, mitt, brown leather. It's gonna look really good on this bike. This right here is the interesting part. The gas tank that I found online. Normally, Honda Magna gas tanks are $500 and they're rusty and dented to fucking back. This was for sale for $200 and there's only 2 small dents that I've been able to find and there's no rust on the inside. Now it's gonna be hard to see because it's yellow, but there's a little tiny pocket dent right here. It's very small. You guys can see it. I guess that's it. I thought there was a second one. No, it's just that one right there. But I have a buddy who does dent removal that can pull that right out and it'll be good as new. So if I decide to paint it, I'll have him remove it first. But people really wanted to see how the yellow tank looks on the Magna. And I'm kind of interested too. So we'll put that on in a second too. You know, it's funny that people are so happy to see these handlebars go. I think it's probably because people don't ride these kind of bikes very often. You know, a lot of people who ride like Honda Magnas or like any sort of like hardcore cruiser bobber prefer the more comfortable riding position, or they prefer to not go very far at all. They prefer to like ride for a short amount of time. Now on this bike, the way it's set up with the seat and the handlebars, I can ride for 6+ hours, and I've done it. It's really not that bad. I mean, you gotta stop and get gas every 18 minutes because it gets like 100 miles to the tank with the V4. It's a fucking fun bike to ride. It really is. With the drag bars, it was slightly more uncomfortable, I'd say. Just slightly. But really, I mean, like you're comparing apples to oranges here. Mostly because I really like these handlebars. I thought these were some of the most fun handlebars on any bike. I like the way they look. I like the way they feel. They're designed well. They're really not bad all around handlebars, but you know, it's very clear that those are on tight. Holy shit. I always thought that maybe that these would rotate because they're so like, there's like so much pressure behind it. But I guess that they're sandwiched in there pretty good, which means that I probably have to get some aftermarket risers or some different risers anyway. These are aftermarket, but probably have to get some different ones. Jesus. And I'm not worried about scratching the tank. As you can see, it's dented to fucking back. But I'm gonna use this tank, I think, as an experimental tank for something that I've been wanting to learn how to do. If you guys follow any sort of bobber or chopper build, you've seen some tanks with the gas tank that has like this whole side of it is dented inward kinda. What people do is they just literally cut along the side here on both sides and then flip them and then weld them in place. And I don't know how to do that, but I want to try. Ooh, God, those were on good. Got the exact same bars that I had on this bike originally when you guys fell in love with it. Yeah, classic drag bar look, you know, without it denting the fuck out of my tank again. But these are the bars we're gonna use, the drag bars, like from the original build. Now I've turned on the petcock, chase on 2 wheels. That's the thing that allows fuel to come out of the actual gas tank. So we want that to be turned off when we take the actual gas tank off. I bet this is the damn 12mm, I tell you what. Look at that. It's almost as if it took me 2 tries. Because it did. This is gonna spew gas everywhere. There we go, that was easy. It wasn't that much gas. I thought it was going to be a lot more than that. Another thing I'd like to look into is figuring out where the wiring for the blinkers are on this bike. It's one thing I've never had. When I got it, it didn't have blinkers. And I almost don't even think that the blinkers work. I'm assuming that they don't. There's perfect mounting spots right there. I could put them down here. I could drill and tap a hole and mount some blinkers. It wouldn't be hard. Let's just see how I feel about yellow. Do yellow bobber. Looks super lame. But the internet's spoken. That is yellow. That is so fucking yellow. I don't hate it, you know? It's a good look. It's not bad, you know? I don't hate the yellow. It would need a rear fender, which is, I've got actually mounting for a rear fender already ready to go back here, so it's not gonna be hard for me to mount up a rear fender when it comes time if I decide to do a rear fender. Yeah, I'll let you guys fight it out in the comments. Hold on one second. Just humor me, okay guys? Just humor me. I mean, I really, like, I don't hate it at all. I really don't. I don't think that's a bad look for it. I hate to say it, but I kind of like it. And that's with these handlebars. How about this? How about this? How about this? I put a straw poll in the description that you guys can choose what color the tank goes, because I want this to be like a group effort, you know. This bike is almost as much as yours as it is mine. And I want you guys to be part of it, and I want you guys to be happy with it. So what I'm gonna say is you guys post what you think the color of the bike should be. Front fender, rear fender, and gas tank. I really don't want to do military green like I did with the Shadow because, I don't know. But I'll put a couple different color options. You guys can choose what color you want, and then whatever wins is the one we'll go with. Personally, I think that black with white stripes down the middle, 2 white stripes like I had it way before back in the day, would look pretty dope. I posted a photo of this on Instagram with the yellow tank on to see what people would say, and the first comment I got was, "This ain't it, Chief." Now, some of you might be asking yourself, Dan, why are you replacing the seat, you know? It's probably an expensive seat, and it looks totally fine. Why would you get rid of it? Well, I'm glad you asked, because it's not totally fine. You see, a long time ago, in a galaxy far away, I wanted to change these seat springs out because they were super rusty. I don't know if you can see how rusty they are inside them, but they look like shit, you know? And can't really do, so I tried to take them off, and turns out that I guess if there's a weld inside here that like holds this threading in place or whatever, it's stripped out. So now if you turn them, they just spin, and there's no way I can get them off. There's literally no way I can get these off without having to rip the whole seat off completely and reupholster it. And I was like, for the amount of money that's gonna cost me, I would just rather get the newer design seats. And you know, the seat's not a bad seat. I really enjoyed the seat, but I think it was in kind of rough condition when I first got it anyway. There's a lot of stuff I didn't know back when I first got this bike, you know, like what to look for in motorcycles and what not to do, and what not to do when you're building a hardtail. The first time around. The second time around, I learned a lot. But I basically built this thing on a budget. I'm just kind of rigging it up to see if it'll work. What I'll actually do is I'll take this one and drill holes accordingly so it matches up with this, and bend it a little bit so it actually fits with this one better. Generally, when building a bobber, you have one of 2 different kind of seat springs you can get. You can either get the scissor type springs, these are 3-inch scissor springs, or you can get the coil springs, and these are 3-inch coil springs. Just the amount of space in between. This is about 3 inches from top to bottom. This is about 2.5 inches from top to bottom on these. So I think these are 2.5 coil springs and 3-inch scissor springs. And there's advantages and disadvantages to both. The advantages to scissor springs rather than coil springs is that these are easier to mount, and I think for the most part they're a little bit more hidden depending on what type of bike you're building. They kind of look super minimal compared to the coil springs. The coil springs are very look at me-ish, you know, and these ones you can get them in a billion different colors: bronze, black, gold, silver, chrome, whatever you want. Scissor springs are a little bit harder to find in multiple finishes. They usually only come in black or chrome, and finding 3-inch scissor springs in black was actually kind of hard. I'm not going to use 3-inch scissor springs for the Magna. I actually got these for the Shadow because the Shadow could use a little bit more cushion in the pushing. But the Shadow isn't here right now, so I'm going to swap these out with the 2-inch springs and go back to 2-inch springs on the Magna. See, that's the difference between a 2-inch and a 3-inch spring, if you guys can tell. It's about an inch, go figure. But these La Rosa seats, these La Rosa design seats, they've actually come a long way. And a lot of their products have also come a long way in quality when it comes to like their material. Like if you think about like just a short amount of time that this bike was built versus when this bike is built, completely different bikes. Actually, fuck mounting it up. I'll just pull the other springs later. Tan seat, regardless of color. Definitely like the tan seat. It'll sit something like that, a little bit higher. But fuck mounting them up right now. Oh, that's another disadvantage. That's another disadvantage to the scissor springs is that they do lose their springiness. I don't know what else to call it over time. Those kind of springs will maintain their springiness a long time. The coil springs, they will maintain their springiness a lot longer. I like the seat. That was my main concern, is that I spent a lot of money on the seat and I want to make sure that I like it. I do. I'm going to break it down a little bit. This tank can go ahead and come off. This is the snuggest. God, this tank is so much bigger than it looks. Don't get me wrong. I don't want you guys to think that I don't know anything about bikes and that everything that I do is 100% random and that like I just hope things work out, and sometimes they do, that I just go on a project, especially like building a war horse, that I don't know anything about welding or that I don't know anything about this or that. I do. It's because I've spent a lot of time researching it and I've had a lot of people help me out with stuff, like learning how to do certain things. I've had some people teach me. Like I don't just take projects on and then just do them anymore. I used to. That's how I learned. It's a hard way to learn and to not learn when it comes to doing things. If you just do them, you're gonna break stuff and things not gonna go right and you're gonna learn lessons the hard way. And that's how I learned how to do everything that you guys see on this channel. Would I recommend it? No. Do I know a better way? No. There's nothing that I can say or do or recommend that's gonna make you guys learn how to do everything when knowing how to do nothing. That being said, I always assume, and it's a pretty safe assumption, that something's gonna go wrong and I should be prepared for it, which at the Sense made time. Because throttle cable positioning with OEM throttle cables on tall riser bars like this is dumb, which is another corner that I cut on this bike. I cut a lot of corners on this bike. Probably gonna take some more time to work on it, but no more cutting corners. Like for instance, another corner I cut, in here you have a little, basically like, I don't know what else to call it, but this nipple that sticks out that's supposed to go into a pinhole in your handlebars, and it's supposed to fix your entire throttle assembly in place. It doesn't allow it to rotate up and down when you twist the throttle or anything like that. At the time, I knew that, but I didn't really think about it because I wanted to go put it on a new set of handlebars, the drag bars, and they didn't have a pilot hole drilled anywhere. It was drill your own hole, but I didn't know that because I'm stupid, right? Because this is how you learn the hard way. So I ground down the nipple in these original, like the starter button and all that, so there's no more pin that holds it in place. The only thing that's holding this in place on the handlebar now is pure squeezing force. And I've never had an issue with it, but don't do that. Don't do it, it's dumb. That was seized. All right, so no, I'm not gonna be putting these handlebars back on the Magna. I think I'll use them for a different build in the future because I really like them. I might even put them on more horse just to see how they look, but this bike is definitely a drag bar bike. Oh, there's a bee in my headlight. I'll be honest, I don't have much more time, and there's not really much more that I want to do today. I kind of want to look over this wiring though, and figure out if I even have wires for blinkers still on this bike. If you guys can't tell, wiring is my least favorite part of a bike, or anything for that matter. You know what? I'll start at the source. You got your high-lows here, and your blinkers. Hey, speaking of things, you can. What's really easy is that websites like Bike Bandit and stuff like that offer 100% breakdowns. So we just follow them into this cluster fuckery of wires. They go up through the headlight and then back out the headlight through this harness. Okay. So we have some blinker wires this is what a diagram is going to look like if it even pulls up on the screen. If not, I'll overlay it, but it's a fucking mess if you don't know what you're looking at. So here's what I know. You do have some blinkers available. I don't know what this is, but we don't have it, so. Okay, there's a lot of things I don't know actually. We have an orange, we have a blue, we have a green. Right is light blue, and then orange is left. So orange is left, blue is right, and then we also have the ground where they both plug into. So we can wire blinkers up to this, at least in the rear, you know? I don't know about the front because there's no wires. Well, anyways, it looks like that we can definitely get a lot of shit done on this bike pretty soon. I need to order a couple of parts. Something's happening there. Oh, I figured out why the rear brakes don't work. All right, so I'm gonna be kicking the rear brake with my foot. So sometimes the rear brakes don't work, and I'll show you why. See how it's getting stuck? That shouldn't be happening. There you go, kick it back. Give it some more light, look at that. They get stuck, if you brake too hard, then they get locked up. That's kind of convenient. But yeah, so good news is I think I can wire blinkers to it. Next episode, I'll tear apart the wiring and kind of like rewire everything, which I'm not really looking forward to, because I got to pull out the air box, which sucks, and I got to pull apart all the handle controls. I got to order some risers. But yeah, things are definitely going to get along the way pretty soon. As soon as I decide on what color to go with, I'll send the tank out for paint, and we'll move from there. But yeah, things are going to move pretty fast here, guys. So yeah,